Listen up or run for cover. Dropping knowledge from the people who have it to the people who need it. The real Brad Lee is dropping
What it is, Brad Lee back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs. Today in the studio, folks, I've got a real treat for you this time because he's an actual entrepreneur. Now, we've heard the word entrepreneur a million times, but what does it actually mean? So I've invited Sean Castrina in to talk about that. Welcome, Sean.
Oh, man, it's great to be here, Brad.
Dude, and I'm glad you came all the way out from Charlottesville, Virginia.
Yeah, it's actually quite a long way.
And you don't fly for much.
No, I don't fly. I'm the least. I don't like traveling that much, but this was one of those that we couldn't turn down and bring my son out here and his friends. So it was a great 48-hour trip.
Yeah, and the son's an entrepreneur. Yes, sir. See, you got a whole entrepreneurial family. How'd that begin?
You know, it's kind of crazy. I had the typical dream scenario. You know, I went to college on a scholarship, and I figured I'd get a college degree, get out, get my dream job. So I getting ready to graduate 3 months before graduation. I didn't want to work my way up the ladder. So I did something that, it's kind of our personality. You have this as well. I offered to work for free. So I called the biggest company I could because I wanted to skip all the rungs on the ladder. I said, I'll work for you the entire summer for free. They said, hey, that's a great idea. We'll love to have you. I talked to the CEO, brought me in, needless to say, I stayed there for 5 years. Got married, had a child, just bought my dream house, and then he retired. He was an older guy, and they let me go overnight. They clean house culture. Anybody who was close to him, next day, they were just like letting everybody go. And so I knew then that I never wanted to be dependent on employment ever again. Like, that's kind of what you think it's how you're supposed to. You get you get your dream job, you put all your money in your 401k or whatever the case may be, and you'll stay there for 40 years or you'll have a retirement. I thought that, and then I was like, go. And then I realized then I'm never going to work for anybody other than enough to get my business off the ground. And at the time, I'd never thought about starting a business. So it's not like I had 10 business ideas in my head. I had no plan on being an entrepreneur. I was going to be a well-paid employee. I was one class away from my master's degree. So I was doing the typical plan that you do. And then I realized then that doesn't necessarily work. So got let go and come home. That's rough when you go home to your wife and you go, hey, I know we got a new child, a new house, but I don't have a job. So,
and most people are scared at that point. How come you weren't?
I'll bet on me anytime. I like those odds. So I just had to go in a different direction. And I sold insurance for 1 year for Franklin Life. I was one of their top salespeople. And that allowed me to put some money away. And I actually started a business that year, which is funny. I started an auto detailing company, which is crazy because I haven't cleaned a car in my life either. But I went to these meetings on Monday, the sales training meetings, and they're super nice cars there. But the first millionaires I ever met were in insurance, and they were, did really well. I'm like, wow, if somebody could come to this parking lot and clean these cars while we're in this meeting, that'd be a great business idea. So I started this company called Wax Master Mobile Detailing. I still had it branded perfectly. Our tagline was America's Choice in Mobile Detailing. Our phone number was 188, when you got toll-free numbers, 933-3824. It was We Detail. I mean, I still remember it 25 years later. It still exists. I sold it to a person. I actually saw the van at a traffic light like 3 months ago. So, I launched that business, and I made $35,000 doing nothing. And that's when I got the aha. I never cleaned a car. All I had to do was make the phone ring, create a system to where we'd price it over the phone. He would go out and do the work. We'd do a 50-50 split. He had no problem with that because I could get him work that he couldn't get. And I made $35,000, and that's $1 million in an annuity. Everybody wants to make so much money. Let me let you know a secret. $35,000 that you don't work for is still pretty nice.
Huge.
I'm in my 50s and I still like it.
Especially if you can scale it.
And so we did that, but I understood then service companies were the holy grail. They don't require inventory, very little startup. In a startup, if you go with a service company, think about this. This is why I could start a business in 30 days. This is the formula. If you have a need and you do a service company, all you have to do is hire the right employee to do it, and then you got to market it. It only requires two things. If there is in fact a need, you only need to have somebody who's able to fulfill the need, and then you need to make the phone ring. If you can make the phone ring, that person will work for 50%.
Certainly.
So I started that detailing company. I sold it, ended up doing really well with marketing. So I started a direct mail magazine, blew that up into 23 cities, went to more homes than the Sunday Washington Post, sold that in 2008. But in that journey, I was addicted to service companies, so I wanted to do that $30,000 thing again. I thought, hey, this is great. I don't mind making $30,000. So I sold the detailing company, and I started a handyman company because I tried to convert a dining room in my house to an office, and it was like trying to find a one-eyed leprechaun to do it. It was crazy. So I started Advantage Handyman, and let me just tell you, millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars later, it was a really good idea. 6 weeks later, we had 54 phone calls in a town of 60,000. 54 phone calls to do work. Now we have 8 divisions, and service companies have been very, very good to me.
So if someone's listening to this and they're just starting a company, or let's go back even one more notch. Somebody's listening to this and they're afraid to start their company because there's a lot of people strapped to a job. And I always get DMs all day long. I'm this age, I got a little bit of money saved, but I don't have the balls basically to quit and start my company. And I always say, well, what's stopping you? Well, what if this happens or what if that happens? Most people are afraid. What would you say to those people to get them unafraid? Take the jump.
Yeah. And show me a man with no confidence and I'll show you a loser every time anyway. So the fact is at some point you got to man up. There's just no getting around. I get those same DMs, and I can't grow them a set of nuts. I can give them advice, I can help them, but listen, I can't give you a pair down there, But I tell you where people.
What if it's a female? She still needs some nuts.
Yeah, you got to have what you got to have. I'm going to let that one just slide by. But listen to this though. This is where I think our entrepreneurs screw up. I think that this sub 30 culture is screwing up. Whatever happened with doing 2 things at once? I started my business, my magazine. I took a job selling cars.
Yeah. This company here, 8 years in, barely any survivable money. I had to take a break, went and ran a car dealership for 1 year to fund this place.
That's what started my magazine. I got a job. It was the funniest thing because could you imagine me interviewing for a job? Just listen, because if you've ever been in the car business, you're getting ready to go, you're going to laugh at this. So I go to get a job selling cars. I go to a Honda dealership because I owned Hondas. I had never changed oil in my car. I know nothing about cars. I'm one of the least helpless. I'm one of the most helpless people you've ever met. So I go into this meeting and I said, listen, I'd love to work and sell cars for you. And they're always looking for salespeople. I said, but I won't come in till 3 p.m. every day. Now I'll come in at 3 o'clock because my wife's a nurse and we're not going to put our kid in childcare. So I'll come in at 3 o'clock because that's when she gets home. And when I sell a car, I'd like to go home. And they laughing at me so when I sell a car every night, I'm going to be able to go home then. Because I figured I'd sell a car every night. I'd be done home by 7 o'clock. But I said, I'll work every Saturday for you because I did my homework. And I talked to a really experienced car guy. He said, we sell all our cars after 3 o'clock and we sell them on Saturday. And I said, and by the way, I don't like going to meetings, so I'm not going to go to your meeting, but I'm happy to get a quick, recap of it. They hired me, if you can imagine that.
I can't imagine that.
They did. No, it gets even better.
Dude, they were some desperate
No,
bitches.
wait, this is too funny. I asked them, I said, well, why did you hire me? They go, we either knew you were full of shit or we were all going to come work for you. They go, you gave off that vibe. It was going to go one way or the other. It was in the middle of summer and we were just curious to see how it would play out. We were just more amused by it. I was their top salesman, made $5,138. This was in 1999. The guy that I beat was a top salesman every month. He's actually the car dealer. He actually manages a car dealership where I just bought my wife a car. So we still laugh at that. My direct manager came to work for me. His wife came to work for me. So in fact, a few of them ended up coming to work for me. So sold cars. So I did 2 things because I needed to make money. I mean, my business wasn't going to make money right away. And, there's 168 hours a week. And I tell you this, if you can't work a job and start a business, you probably were going to fail anyway.
More than likely.
Yeah. So be busy.
So what if someone's afraid to jump?
Back to growing nuts, aren't we?
Yeah, but how do you grow nuts? Give them some tactical.
Okay, this is what you got to do. You got to break it into simple steps. First, you got to go, what if it fails? So don't ever start a business where you put so much capital to where if it fails, you get crushed. That's a misnomer that entrepreneurs take risk. Entrepreneurs take calculated risk. We don't take a hit at 17 at a blackjack table. Okay, we don't do dumb things. So you want to stack everything in your favor. So just ask yourself this. Have you beta tested it? I mean, do you know that you have a wanting customer for what it is you're selling? Beta test it a little bit. That'll build your confidence.
What about burning bridges? What do you think about that?
I'm not big on burning bridges.
Yeah, neither am I. You always hear people say burn the bridges, no retreat. And that's literal advice people get. And I give people the opposite. Like when I started this company, it was because, I could always go back to the other one. So not only didn't I burn my bridges, I made them nice and comfortable and easily ready in case.
Yeah.
But maybe that's why I had the nerve to jump. I don't know. I mean, I probably had the nerve because I was arrogant and stupid. Yeah. But most people, they're sitting there worried about paying their rent when in reality, I worried about staying the same, working for somebody for 20 years. You said earlier you never wanted to depend on a job again.
Yeah.
Like, how come everybody doesn't think that way?
My daughter's a school teacher, so I think my wife's a nurse. They're not entrepreneurial anyway, but they're amazing. So I'm always great for people. There are people that have an employee mentality, and there's nothing wrong with that. And there are some of you out there that it's not for you. You're just so adverse to risk. You can't make a fast decision. I mean, if you're really bad at making quick decisions, if you're paralyzed when you have to make a decision, it may not be for you. Entrepreneurship is not for everybody. It's for somebody who's willing to pound an idea into submission. People always say to me, well, are your ideas that good? No, my ideas aren't that good. There's a want, there's a need for it, and then I make it into a good business. But I don't ever try to start a business where I'm not completely convinced that there's a massive audience out there that wants what I'm selling. I am not arrogant enough to introduce a product or a service that I have not tested.
And not only that, talking to you didn't really sound like you had ideas. You saw a void.
Every business I have ever started has been a void. The business with them, it's a void. My talk pointing to my son here. Every business I've ever started was based on a need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like you couldn't find someone to do handiwork, so you fucking built a company.
The direct mail magazine was because I was looking for advertising for my detailing company. So I created a direct mail magazine to put my own business in it. And then I used that direct mail thing to promote my handyman company. So it was free advertising for me. I'm always like, if I have a need for it, there's got to be somebody else who might. And that's not always the case, but all my business have been based on solving a problem or filling a need.
How many exits have you enjoyed?
I've had 2 exits. None like, wow, incredible, don't ever work again. I mean, I have one now that if I exit, I would not have to work. But I have business partners. That's my superpower. I have 6 business partners, so I don't have to kill myself.
Did you put up the money?
Yeah, that's the secret. The secret to all the businesses is never take money from anybody. Man, I did that one time and then gave the guy the money back within 7 days. Within 7 days, he felt like he owned me. It was the most uncomfortable feeling ever. I could not bring a check back to a person faster than I brought that when I took some. I was a member of a real nice country club, and I had a guy who threw me some money, and it was nothing to him. It was a lot to me, but he just turned into an a-hole overnight. And I just said, no, you got to take this money back. This will never work. So what I did is that my I bring in people that need an opportunity. They're really great at something I need. So we got a guest here. His dad's an unbelievable engineer. So he was perfect for my construction company. He's been unbelievable. The person who runs my handyman company, now again, this is morphed into 8 companies. He interviewed to be one of our handymen. I'll never forget this. He said, if I could make $850 a week, yes, Tony, I'm talking to you because I know you're listening. He said, if I could make $850 a week, I said, listen, I want you to come to my house for the next interview. He says, why? I said, you just need to come to my house. So he comes to my house for the next interview. I take him through the garage so he sees like one car after another. Then I take him into the house and he sees the high foyer. I said, $850 a week, I'd be stealing from you. I'd be happy to give you $850 a week. I said, but you're too talented. He was a UVA graduate. So I said, I'll give you your $850 a week, but let's partner in this thing and make real money. He made over $250,000 last year, 3 years in.
And he was looking for $850 a week.
He was looking for, we always joke about that. I said, Tony, $850 a week. I should have stuck with that. Because, now he makes like $4,000 a week. I look at his, what he makes every week. And I go, man, that $850 sure has blossomed.
Yeah. Why do you think people have such limited thinking like that?
I think that sadly, people have a survival mentality. My dad, for example, loved my dad, but he would swear that he came up with the Jiffy Lube idea. He was a mechanic in the 60s, and he would swear he did. Well, obviously he didn't, and the guy who did okay with it. Because the problem is people overvalue ideas and don't value taking action. Ideas are a dime a dozen. Listen to me. If I get another DM about, what do you think of this idea? Tell me when you launch it. Because ideas are nothing without action. And I think that we put way too much value on an idea. And it's what you do with the idea. I have yet to have a great idea. I've had solid ideas where there was a need in the marketplace. They've made me millions and millions of dollars. None of them are fancy.
Well, I'll give you an example of great ideas I've had. Didn't do anything with it, like this thing. If I gave you these, you'd never want. I will get rid of the phone before I have that.
He has the thing on. He has something like that.
Yeah, but that little pop socket thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's a
but that's better.
Shit version compared to this. I'm telling you, I've had those, and they're nothing compared to this. But I thought of pop socket before pop socket. I thought of this before this. This isn't mine. Pop socket's not mine, and they're making millions.
Yeah.
But they weren't mine. And I thought about it way, way before. The first iPhone I got, it was slippery. And I said, man, I need to have something that, does really this. Cool. But I didn't do anything. And now years later, there's people making millions of dollars on the same idea. I'll give you ideas I've not done anything with yet because I've been building this one. But what you're saying basically is I think the biggest shortcoming of most people, their ideas. I've had 1 million people approach me for ideas and want, give me $1 million and I'll give you 10% of a fucking company that doesn't operate, you dipshit. Like, how about I'll take 90%? Oh, that's way too much. Dude, you got an idea. Ideas are a dime a dozen. I'll give you one right now. You ever have your house sprayed?
Yeah.
Okay, well, here it gets hot, so they have these mister systems. It's just a tube that they squirt water through, and it sprays misty water, and it cools you down, right?
Yeah, I've seen that. They do that at the amusement parks.
Yeah, so if you put that tube in the 2x4s inside the construction of the homes and a nozzle out the side of the house, a van just pulls up, and it shoots the bug spray inside the walls, which is where they're trying to get it anyway. Because as they come around and squirt the baseboards, I always say, what's with that? They go, oh, the bugs come out and bring it back inside the walls, and then that's where it gets them. So they're squirting it there to get it in the house, in the walls.
Started from day one with it in the walls.
Why not just build the damn house with cheap ass plastic and a nozzle that allows someone to come in and for 1 second, just inside there, and the whole entire house is sprayed all at once inside the walls. Dude, that's huge. That's number one. Number two, I'll give you a bunch of them. I've just never done them. They're all, I think, big ideas. This was, keep in mind, way before you got notices from your bank, but the bank still is not doing it right. I called it final approval. Okay. And what you do is when you swipe your credit card, it goes to the merchant. The bank says the money's there or you're approved, and it comes back approved, right? Well, it should bypass to your phone and give you final approval. So you swipe the card, it goes to the bank and comes to your phone in an instant. It says, is this charge okay? And if you're the one doing it, you just hit yes. If the charge isn't okay, you hit no, because you get final approval. Why does the bank get final approval? Now, how do I think of that? My daughter one time took my Chevron card. I don't use a Chevron card. I forgot how I even ended up with a Chevron card, but I had like $2,000 limit for gas. Like, who needs that much gas? But anyway, so there's a $2,000 limit on the Chevron card. I don't have it. And next thing you know, I get a letter, and they're like, are you ever going to pay this bill? I'm like, what bill? It's been 90 days.
Oh, gosh.
I'm like, well, where's the charges? I narrowed it down. I call my daughter. You have my gas card? She goes, yeah. Like, you didn't think about telling me that? if this final approval, that's when I thought of it. If this final approval would have just simply asked me the first time she swiped it, $18 in gas in Springfield, Oregon, I would have said, nope. But see, what they do now is they notify you after the fact.
Colin does not want you to come up with this technology because he's got 2 of my cards, and it's like,
well, just
zing,
imagine,
zing, zing,
dude.
zing.
Would you pay, for example,
Yes.
$5 a year to where anytime he wanted to use it, you'd just approve it?
Absolutely.
Well, we're stealing the idea anyways.
You should steal the idea because let me tell you something. That's a $1 billion idea, and I don't even think you'd need to do it. I think you need to protect it and create it, and then someone would buy it. The banks are just doing it late. Like I get notices that my card was charged,
But it's after the fact.
too late, dude. Give me the final approval. So that's final approval. That's huge, that idea. Here's another one. School supplies. Okay. I have 3 sets of kids, but my littlest ones, 5 and 7, they send home a stupid ass list of school supplies. Now, why would you send home a list of shit that I have to go hunt for? And when you ever been school supply shopping?
Oh, no, yeah.
Half the shit's not there because everybody else is too.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you're going to 10 different stores. You're driving all around. It takes a bunch of time.
It's like a scavenger hunt.
Yeah, like why not just send home an amount? Just an amount. So a school, I found out, can't do this. So I was going to come up with a company called Supplyfly. It's very simple. It's an app. I can build it in 10 seconds. It's called Supplyfly. So the school tells Supplyfly what the kid needs. Supplyfly is allowed to say, just give me $100, which is the same amount of money that you'd spend running around town. And I will have the school supplies, complete pack of school supplies on your kid's desk first day of school. All we're going to ask is, do they want a backpack with that? And then let's say 5 days later, little Johnny's out of glue. Teacher opens up the app. Johnny, glue. It texts the parent.
Schools don't think entrepreneurial, but schools will do fundraisers. But let's say they owned the right to do that. You know, you license them the opportunity to use that store, and they made a 15% because we think like entrepreneurs.
That's right.
Like my brain's already 3 steps down on that idea. They're going to make you go sell candy bars.
They do.
But why not just have an income producing?
They're a school. Why not be in the school supply business?
I agree.
So that's Supplyfly, and you don't even need to do it. You know what you need to do? Get a lawyer. If you guys want to do it because someone's going to make a lot of money with this. You get a lawyer. You spend maybe $5-10 to get a lock solid exclusive agreement. You go to the school. You have them sign the agreement because Office Depot or any of these big, huge conglomerates that are in the school supply business will copy you in 5 seconds, but they can't get the exclusive agreements with all the schools.
Yeah, that's the legwork.
So so the agreement's the value in that particular model. But dude, if my kid's school said, $90 please, I'd be like, okay. A week goes by, she's out of glue. I get a text, she's out of glue. I go, okay. Supplyfly.
Convenience. Listen to me. I'm a fanatic about convenience, and most people are.
Well, yeah, those are ideas. Like they don't exist. Last one, then I'll get it back to you because this is about you.
No, I'm fine with these.
But because to me, you didn't have ideas. You saw a need. Like, damn, dude, I can't get a good back massager. Shit, I'm going to open up a massage parlor. Or not a parlor. That sounds, like it's jerky. But, a Massage Envy or something.
There you go. That was a great idea. Massage Envy was a great
Absolutely.
idea.
So like you found a void or you saw a need. To me, that's not an idea. To me, an idea is something just out of the blue. Yeah. That's to me an idea. And you're right. They're a dime a dozen. They're not worth anything because I'm naming multi-million-dollar minimum ideas that I've had for 20 years. Haven't did anything, which makes them $0, zero value. Hasn't made me a penny. And I've talked about them several times. Yeah. You guys have to execute. The execution is the part that everybody misses.
Yeah. I think I have, to some degree, I have a huge blue collar mentality in this. I like businesses that I could launch within 30 days. Like it's hard for me to sometimes see this, like the businesses you're talking about, if I'm being honest, I see steps that confuse me. So they like make my head explode. But you understand apps and things of that nature where I don't. But like a service company, like I can see all the chess pieces And
Well, you're in the construction business,
but
yeah?
any service company. Like I own a digital marketing company too. That's incredible. We're up 50%. We're 2 years into it. I did the same partnering, incredible partnering story with that one. I don't know anything about digital marketing. About 3 years, I had my radio station, TV station. Everybody tried to sell me digital marketing to complement the advertising I do. I mean, I buy Super Bowl ads. I spend a lot of money on advertising. So they would meet with me and everybody tried to pitch me something. My radio station pitched me, and the one person in the room was the smartest person in the room. So I called him the next day, took his business card. I said, hey, James, I'll sign on with the radio station if you handle my account, but you need to come to my office for 15 minutes every month, for 15 minutes, and just tell me what the heck I spent my money on and how it did. I said, and oh, by the way, you're either going to come work for me or you're going to be my business partner. I don't know when, but it'll happen. He said, we got off the phone with me. He said, I thought you were the most arrogant SOB, but I actually thought he's probably really thinks it. And I said, well, the arrogant part's probably true too. I said, but I'll go with that. Needless to say, he did an incredible job with my digital marketing. This was like in November of that year. May of that year, I asked him if he had ever been to Disney World. They had small children. He said, no. I said, well, good. Let me send you to Disney. Let me send your family to Disney World. He's like, well, why would you do that? I said, what did I tell you? You're going to be my employee or my business partner. I'm putting down a down payment. Well, 3 years later, we started Gig Strategic. You can Google that, GIG Strategic, so you know I'm legit. We're up 50% this year. You'll see James doing a pitch right on the front of it. We started a digital marketing company. The need was I didn't know anything about digital marketing. I had a need. I found a person who had expertise. I had plenty of money. So I could launch it. I guaranteed him his salary. I said, listen, let's pitch this thing. I will, because his wife didn't work. I said, I'll guarantee your salary. Whatever you're making at the radio station, I'll match it. Now, let me tell you how good that worked. Our first month, we actually made his salary. So technically, I laid out one check for under $10,000 and I'm 50% partner in forever. Now, I give him a management salary and then we split all profit 50-50. I knew he was a superstar. He just didn't know he was a superstar.
How'd you recognize it?
Because that meeting, when I had that meeting in my conference room, he was the smartest person there. And then after we had worked together for about 5 months and I saw how much new business he brought to my company, I'm like, every small business needs you. I said, we got to start a business. You make something so complicated, so simple that you need to work for, because I had the magazine mentality. I'd work with the pizza guy and I worked with the guy who did transmissions and the HVAC guy and all that. I said, James, you're exactly what small business owners need. We launched that business. My son served as an intern for it. We're up 50% this year. I built an office for it. That's how fast it took off. And you have a need. Partner with someone. I love partnerships if they're done right, because two people are better than one. I always say 1 + 1 is done.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that one, only because I did it the wrong way. I gave two of my buddies a third of my company each. This one.
Yeah, buddies. That's the word that you...
Yeah, and they didn't do shit, and I had to drag a dead horse.
Yeah,
matter of fact,
never partner with a buddy. That's the problem.
Well, when we started this whole thing, I was selling training to car dealerships. They were running car dealerships and owned a third of the business, and they didn't buy the shit for themselves because whatever reason. I'm like, dude, you can't even close yourself. Yeah. So there was a long history to it, but ultimately ended up buying one of them out for 2.7 mil, the other one for 1.7 mil, and I gave them a third. I said, hey, I got an idea. Let's go do this. Let's go do this. I'll give you a third and you a third. And here's what we'll do. And they said, okay. But then they didn't do it, which, of course, I still honored it because it was already in writing. Anyway, I shy away from partnerships because of that.
Well, the key to partnership, I put in my partnership agreements what their responsibilities are. And once they would have failed on that, they would have lost all their stock. And if I had to pay someone to do what they did, it comes out of their side of it.
So you had smart agreements.
You got to have smart agreements.
See, I had dumb agreements. Did you have good lawyers?
You just have to. You don't have to have a great attorney. You just got to put the language in it. The problem is that you got to partnership agreements going into it. Never partner with a buddy. They have to bring something to the equation that without it, the company would not succeed. I don't need friends. I have friends. I don't want them to be my business partners. I want them to be my friends.
Yeah.
I take my friends on the nicest vacations in the world. My businesses are mine. So I separate the two. All my business partners, none of them started out as friends. We have great business relationships, but they are either an expert in what I need them to be an expert in. They have time that I don't have. They have expertise I don't have. They can fill a critical role in the company that I cannot fill. But without them, I want to know 10 years from now that the company could not have been what it is without them. I have to be so convinced of that. And they don't get a share of the company. Sometimes I'll have it. They got to work 2 to 3 years to get it.
Well, then you're obviously closing them on the deal.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, listen, I'm putting all the money up. The secret is he who has the gold makes the rules. And by never taking money from them, they had no leverage. Like, I'm the guy who's going to get it off the ground. I've shown that I can get businesses off the ground. I mean, I have that in my on my resume. They've never gotten a business off the ground. And what I always say to them is this: 50% of a lot is better than 100% of a little. And you work with me, you're going to get 50% of a lot. And it's worked. I've never had a partner ever leave me over money in 20 years. And I'm friends with everyone but one who was a crook.
How do you recognize talent?
You know,
hiring the right people. You said all you have to do is hire the right people and market. I've got hiring the right people. I screwed it up for years. I'm just now starting to do that. Now, again, I've gotten lucky. There's people who've been here for years, and they're the right people, of course. But, I have 70 some employees. I've made some bad hires. Why? I don't know. No one taught me how to hire right. So talk about hiring right for a minute.
Very simple. Because when I bring my business partners in, I always let them staff their companies, but I have to sign off on every hiring because that's the biggest weakness in everybody is hiring. They all think they can hire. So I'll sit on the interview and I'll keep my mouth quiet and the person will leave and I'll say, well, what do you think of that person? Oh yeah, I think we should hire him. I go, well, why? I mean, what about that person? And I go, okay, rate them from 1 to 10. I think a 7. I go, we don't have 7s in hiring. There's 6s and 8s. 7 is average. 7 is a 6. If you think there are 7, there are 6. And 7s and 6s don't move the needle. So you got to know what 8s, 9s, and 10s look like. 8s, 9s, and 10s means they can lead, they can sell. That's the people. They got to lead something. They got to be able to lead a complete division of my company, or they got to be able to sell, because selling is direct revenue. It's really easy for me to look at what give me a good salesperson in a startup. That's the most valuable thing. If you want to know the most important hire in a startup, it's your sales force. That's where 9 out of 10 businesses go wrong every time I see it. They hire Uncle Billy to be their salesperson. When you start a business, hire the best professional salesperson, get them trained. That is why 9 out of 10 businesses fail. Bad sales force.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So what kind of questions do you ask during an interview?
One thing I want to know, I'm probably going to say this, and I'm probably violating like 25 labor laws in my home state of Puerto Rico. But I want to know how long they've lived in the area.
Why?
Because I want to know if they're here. I want to know they're staying. I want to know how long they were at their last job. Why'd they leave? If they start bad-mouthing the last job, I don't want them. I want to know, where do you want to, if you could have the perfect job, what would it look like? 5 years from now, where do you want to be in this company? I want to get somebody who wants to be here. I want somebody with integrity. If I can't trust you with the textbook, with my checkbook, my kids and my house, I don't want you to work for me, because we're in people's homes.
Yeah.
So and my business partners, they all have check writing privileges. So I got to be able to trust you. Now I have 2 CPAs that work for me. I get a printout at 4:00 in the morning between 4 and 4:30. So I would know if something went on. But I got to have people that are trustworthy. I had a business partner who was a thief. There's nothing worse. When you know you're in bed with the devil, it is the most draining business scenario in the world that I've had. He was getting lines of credit that we didn't know about. So the sales never, he'd do $50,000 in sales, but we had $100,000 he spent in credit. It was like feeding a freaking, a dragon.
How long did it take you to catch that up?
Oh man, we caught it quickly, but it's still, that was early on. This is an example of when you think you can do everything. This is where arrogance kicks you right square. And you know what? I start a mattress store. Stupid. When I hear it come out of my mouth, I want to slap my head. I really do. Because it wasn't in any of my lanes. I got greedy. I thought it would work. I was out buying a mattress. I'm like, how hard could this be? So I hire a person to partner with us that I didn't know. It was a salesperson who sold me a mattress. I didn't know this person from the picking Easter bunny. Started with him. We had a great opening day. From opening day on, it was a freaking nightmare. Stealing, he was taking.
How would he steal?
What's that?
How would he steal?
Cash. Cash sales started happening. Oh, we had somebody buy a $3,000 mattress today. Well, you don't know that. Once it's cash, you don't know what it was.
Yeah, well, I let it go for $2,000.
Exactly. There was always those kind of deals. But then when I caught him, he got a line of credit on with a vendor. So he started selling mattresses, but we owed. I got a bill for $30,000 I didn't know about. I lost my mind. I'll never forget. This is kind of funny. One of my buddies is a pastor, so this is kind of cool because you're going to love what he said. So I got Tim. I need you to go to lunch with me with this person because I think he's a pathological liar, but I need you to tell me what you think. And my buddy's from Texas, so he's got like a southern drawl. So we're eating lunch, and my friend's listening to him. He goes, yeah. He just stops. He goes, Corey, do you believe the bullshit that's coming out of your mouth? He goes, because I've been listening to it for 30 minutes, and it's nothing but bullshit. And it's just funny. I go, good, because I thought it was just me for the last 6 months. And my friend told me, you got to get rid of him. He's a pathological liar.
And he was?
And he was. And we got rid of him. And then I learned two expensive lessons. It cost me $50,000 of my own money. And at the time, $50,000 was like a million. Man, I had to go to my bank. I had a $50,000 line of credit. I brought one of my partners in who didn't know about the shenanigans. I felt so bad that I took the loan over myself. I went over and got my friend off the loan, put it completely in my name because it really wasn't his fault. One of my closest friends to this day. I mean, it was totally my screw up. So, I ate $50,000, but I learned don't ever partner with somebody you don't know and stay in your lane. Mattress store. What was I thinking? I'm a service guy. And that's how I didn't understand inventory. I didn't understand lines of credit because we don't have any of that with our business. We pay for everything at the time. So we have no lines of credit with our businesses. What we have in the bank account today is I can touch, feel, and touch every dime of it. My companies don't owe anybody a dollar.
And then the next one was marketing. What made you a marketer?
I think I always work back from the customer. Like what would attract me? A detailing company. Let's just work from that because everybody's like looking for that sexy business idea. I'm going to take a super simple business. I started a detailing company. Well, I got to tell you, I think the name Waxmaster, when you hear it, you kind of get the idea that it's something to do with wax. So I had it on the van and it was a sponge kind of like in half. And then we had a buffing machine in one hand and a rag in the other. So that to me, that was like, if I see that, I know what we do. And then Waxmaster Mobile Detailing. This is the problem with small startups. They try to get so creative with their names that you don't know what the heck they sell. There's only so many Googles and Ubers. Pick a name where I know what it is you do, because if not, I gotta market just to tell you what I do. We got a company in our town called Fruit Fix It. I thought it was a cotton picking smoothie bar for 2 years. They fix phones.
Fruit?
It's called Fruit Fix It. They fix Apple phones. How complicated could you make that? Fruit Fix It. I thought it was a smoothie store. But needless to say, so Waxmaster Mobile Detailing, America's choice in mobile detailing, always take a bold branding position.
What was the mattress store's name?
Oh, it was a Discount Mattress Center. It was a great name. Discount Mattress Center. I couldn't believe we could get that, but it was Discount Mattress Center. But I lost $50,000 and I partnered really bad, and it still stings my fanny when I think about it.
Why didn't you just trade them out? I hear mattress stores make a ton of money.
The problem with it is I don't like retail because you got to be open a certain amount of hours. You need to have buying power. It's hard to have buying power at one store.
Yeah.
So I just didn't. I don't like inventory. I don't like lines of credit. I don't like the in-house I don't like the financing. Like I do financing with my company, but it's all in-house. I control it all. I don't need to go to a bank. I'm a bank for my company.
And the key to marketing would you say? So if someone's listening right now,
Yeah.
they're just starting, they're doing well, but they're not kicking ass yet. What would you have them think about?
Okay, I'm going to give you one piece of advice that's going to change your life. This is the best piece of marketing advice you're actually ever going to get. There are times when I do have shades of genius. What one promise, you're getting ready to start a business, just follow with me on this. What one promise could you make and deliver on that your competition has failed to do, that if your target customer found out about it, they would chase you down for your business? Build your business around that. Build your brand around that. Whatever the answer to that question is what will set your company apart. Whatever it is, give me any business. Pick the one thing. Look at Domino's Pizza. Hot pizza in 30 minutes. Very simple. Geico. Give us 10 minutes, we'll save you 15%. Whatever it is, I don't even think, the Domino's one is great. I don't think the Geico one's that great. Think about, Nike. Nike, if you're trying to figure out their brand, if I'm thinking, I'm Phil Knight, if I put the most recognized athletes in the world in my shoes and my attire, everybody else will want to buy what I'm selling. That's their brand. He's just not telling you it. But that's clearly, he's built the company around that one promise. We're going to put the most accomplished athletes in our attire and in our shoes. Every business you need to find that one promise that you can deliver on, that your competition is not, that you got to have a unique selling position. You got to have a competitive advantage. So it can't be what your competition's doing, and deliver on that. Survey it, whatever it is. All my companies, I took a bold position and I brand it, Super Bowl ads, and stuff like that. We spend money on advertising. That's another huge mistake. What is a word of mouth company? I'll tell you what it is. It's a company that goes out of business or makes no money. Look at the Super Bowl. I don't know if you know it, but Budweiser sells beer. And they spend like $25 million at Super Bowl to remind you that they sell beer. They know they sell beer. But they still remind you of it. Because great companies want to own that piece of real estate in your brain that says, when I want a beer, I want a Budweiser. When I want peanut butter, I want Skippy. When I want toothpaste, I want Crest. Whatever it is, that's marketing. You got to be, I tell, when I'm working with companies, don't even think about it like marketing. Build a brand from day one. Find that one thing and own it, scream it, and don't stop telling people that's the one thing you're doing. I think people make it way too complicated and they don't know how to market. That's why this makes it simple. Find the one promise. Now, when you found it, now you got to find the vehicles where your target customer is most likely to hear it. It might be radio, it might be digital ad, it might be TV, it might be a billboard. It's irrelevant. But get that promise in front of your target customer. If you do that, you're going to build a successful company.
You wrote 2 books. Everyone listening should probably go get them. One, 8 Unbreakable Rules for Business Startup Success. What are the 8 Unbreakable Rules?
Man, if I got to do these from heart. First thing is from my heart, from memory. These I wrote down. I was on a beach trip with my buddies from college, and I was trying to figure out why my companies succeeded and why others didn't. So I was just sitting on the beach writing down like all the little axioms I was coming up with. First thing is that you got to be a great entrepreneur. I'll bet on a person more than any idea. Successful people have that DNA. You just know it when you meet them. I'll bet on that person. If
You
you've
got
ever
that
been,
it factor.
it is. Okay, so you got to create you've got to be a leader. Your company will only be as good as your leadership. If you can't lead, how big can your company be? If you're hard to work with, how are you going to be able to hire anybody? My point is you got to be a great entrepreneur. That's the most important thing. You need to work on you. Number 2 is you need to have a strategy to launch this company and to grow it. You got to have a strategy. It's called a business plan. All right. Next thing, protect your business and yourself. Intellectual property, partnership agreements. They're critical. Okay.
I'll attest to that.
Exactly. Marketing is not optional. You are not a word of mouth company. Okay. So get that completely out of your head. Staffing is critical. If you can't staff, you'll never have a great company. You're only as good as the people that work inside your organization. So you got to learn how to staff. All right. Know your numbers. I am a fanatic. I could tell you what I make off every single person who works for me, what the margins are, everything that moves the needle. I could tell you. I get a spreadsheet. I will get one. My phone will be ringing here. I'm on Pacific time. But between 4:30 and 5 p.m. every day, I get an Excel spreadsheet, all my companies, every dollar. I can look at it. I could see a problem in 15 minutes getting ready to happen. It's coming down the road because I look for patterns and trends. So you got to know your numbers. I talk to small businesses. They'll be like, well, I'm meeting with my accountant in June. It's February. How is that going to help you? In June, you're going to find out you don't have any money and your line of credit's exhausted. So you got to know your numbers every day. You need to be like a kid looking at the back of a baseball card. My favorite batter bats 337's got 18 home runs. I'm like that with my businesses. So you got to know your numbers. Another thing, learn from other people. Get mentored. Man, failure is best heard through a secondhand story, and it's a hell of a lot cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I went to a guy 10 years ago. He was a client in my magazine. Colin's been to lunch with me. I've taken him to lunch with this guy. Fantastic guy. I walked in one day. I said, Ben, he's in his 60s at the time. I said, I want to take you to lunch once a month, every month, until they put you in a casket, and I need you to live in about another 30 years because I got a lot of questions I need to ask you. He was so flattered by me asking him. I mean, he knew who I was, and I'm asking him. But, man, I needed to learn more. I did the mattress store debacle, so clearly I had some areas to learn. I took him to lunch for 10 years to pick his brain. I'd pick him up, go to lunch. I said, well, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? You know, I just wanted to kind of bounce my idea. And he said, I think that's going to be hard to scale, or I don't think that's sustainable. How are you going to staff it?
Did you always listen?
You know, not always. I mean, sometimes we get a little hard-headed and we got to ask it again. But I never did something where somebody said, don't do it. Like, you know, if somebody who you really value says, you got to find out why. You know, all I'm saying is give them the credibility of figuring out why they think that way.
Well, I definitely believe in getting mentorship and seeking counsel, but I also, if you would have came to me and told me that you were going to invent a company called Crocs, and you were going to have rubber clogs, I'd have said, don't do it.
Well, there's no doubt.
And someone did do it, and they're loaded, and they would have listened to me talking about Crocs.
But see, I don't think anybody can validate your idea. They can only validate your business model. If you really think about it.
Are you guys Croc wearers?
You
guys like Crocs?
I have them.
You guys like Crocs out in Virginia?
Yeah.
See? So it's like, dude, I don't get how people wear Crocs. Like
I would melt here.
They're clogs. They're rubber clogs.
We have water over there.
Yeah. We wear it around our swimming pool.
Yeah, but I wear flip-flops.
It would melt in this. This is the hottest place I've ever been to in my life. I called my wife yesterday. I said, I felt like I got hit by a blow dryer when I walked out of the airport.
Well, I mean, what about grass green golf balls?
What is that? I don't even know.
Is that a good idea?
Grass green golf balls? Man, I like a pink golf ball so I can see it.
No. I was like, for example, I had an idea once where I was going to start a restaurant where there was free soup, but I would rent the spoons.
Okay, I'm not feeling that one. This is what I say. As an entrepreneur, I will always go with my gut. But when somebody this is what I always tell my business partners. If I'm a 50-50 business partner, I have...
hold on, one quick.
Okay.
50-50.
Yeah.
Always?
Always.
Here's the problem that I found with 50-50. And again, you've had it.
I've already solved it, but I can't wait to hear what you're going to say.
Well, you've had success with it. Someone asked me the other day what percentage, and I said never 50-50, always 51-49. And the reason why is if two people have total equal shares, there can be an impasse, and now you have no ability to operate.
All right, there's two ways of doing that. If you set up an LLC in your management agreement, you can write that Sean has definitive answers on all things. So you
just give someone the ability.
Right. So when I'm partners with James, but James knows that I have final say. That I've been in business a lot longer, and I tell a person that's going to be in our management agreement. But you're right. If it was like an S corp and you had stock,
Well, that's what I set up, like a dumbass.
Yeah.
And no, I think it's a C corp.
Oh, yeah. So you can't, but I have a C corp, but I own all the stock. What I do with my C corp is it's a 50-50 profit share, but not 50. I don't like giving actual ownership away.
Well, you know what I did? And thank God I did, because there was a Steve Jobs story. They tried to throw me out of this place, and it's my place.
Yeah, because they had 66.
Yeah, well, and throughout that's where it began. And then out throughout the history, you know, we brought on a few people. They talked me into doing this and that. I mean, I still have one partner. He's the one that I found to build the shit for me, thankfully.
See, he's the critical. Remember that the one guy
he's definitely
without
that.
him, you wouldn't have.
Without him, we wouldn't be here, and without me, he wouldn't be here.
So that's why you guys are critical.
Yeah, and you know, yin and yang. But what I did in the articles of incorporation is I included what I called a super vote. It even says that I have a super vote. Well, they didn't read that. Yeah. So when it came time to kick me out of my own company, they called a board meeting. I'm like, what are we having a board meeting for? Oh, you know, this, that thing. So I show up and basically they jump in and basically say, you know, we're done with you. You know, you're getting fired. Turns out
that super vote was genius.
The super vote.
And that's what I have in mind. Basically.
I started laughing and I said, dude, you guys better go get a lawyer and figure this shit out. And by the way, you're fired. Because again, I'm also CEO, and people don't understand. The CEO as an employee is the top. He's got full authority. The only way you can control a CEO is to get the board to control him.
But you had the super vote.
I had the board, and I'm the CEO, so they couldn't. I fired him as an employee, and you know, I blocked all their stupidity as a shareholder. So thankfully. But I always tell people just don't do it. But what you're saying is you can do 50-50, but it's not
profit. It doesn't have to be the ownership. What I found is that startup people, they're more concerned about the money. For whatever reason, they never think that long term. Let's just imagine you're Johnny so-and-so, and I'm putting up all the money for the company. And I say, Johnny, listen, I'm going to split all profit with you 50-50. And if you stick around for 5 years, I'll give you 49% of the company. But we'll always split profit 50-50. What's he going to say? No, I don't think that's a good idea. So I've done that before. No, I agree. I had an S corp and I did 51-49. So what you got to do in your partnership agreements, you've got to lay out how ties are split, how ties are handled. It needs to say, you know, Joe Smo has the final say in all decisions. Because I always tell my partners, you and I are going to have a problem when I want to grow something and you want to slow me down. I had it with the mattress store. I had 3 partners in that. I wanted to buy a box truck. It took 5 hours to try to talk them into buying a box truck. I lost my mind. I bought it personally and gave it to the company because my head was going to explode. Because you have people that don't think growth. Yeah. Entrepreneurs, we think growth. We're always saying to spend money, to make money is just in our DNA.
Okay, so I interrupted just to get to that 50-50 point because a lot of people out there thinking about forming a business, you know, pay attention, rewind what we just talked about. I wouldn't go 50-50 in actual shares because now you have an impasse. And if you have an impasse, you can't do anything without mutually agreeing. And if you guys are fighting, you're FUCK'd.
Yeah.
What about and so you were going, do you remember or no? What you were going to say before I stopped you?
I have no idea.
All right, so let me ask you another question before we run out of time. You also wrote another book, The Greatest Entrepreneur in the World, The Tale of 7 Pillars. Yeah. What's that one about?
It's basically my 8 Unbreakable Rules in a fictional tale. And so I kind of lay out a company and they follow all these things. And it's a really great book. But actually, the last chapter, I have an 8th pillar, and it's change. That's the one thing. You have to change before you have to. So one thing I've kind of learned that I didn't have in my 8 Unbreakable Rules is you got to see change before you need it. Like I look back at Blockbuster, that board should be in prison. How they didn't see the red boxes outside of grocery stores, how they didn't see Netflix streaming, how they didn't buy Netflix for $50 million. That had to be the most inept board in the history of business.
100%.
Change.
Well, not only that, that's obvious.
Yeah. But you see,
it's not something like, well, no one ever would have thought. I could have told you in that situation, you better buy that company because that company's about to buy you. Netflix, on demand, don't have to go to a stupid ass store to return. They'll ship it to you. They started out just mailing it to you.
Yeah.
Crazy. And they lost that opportunity.
Yahoo could have bought Google.
You were named Yahoo Finance top 20 business leaders to pay attention to in 2020.
Well, you're paying attention to me, so it must be working.
Yeah, well, people should pay attention because, again, a lot of times someone comes in and start a business, you know, and someone wants to act like they're a freaking entrepreneurial genius because, you know, they started a business and it went well. you've started multiple businesses. You've probably learned a lot of shit the hard way.
You know, I'm going to say something controversial about that. I believe there's a difference between an entrepreneur and a business owner. And I think we give business owners too much credit for being an entrepreneur. They had an entrepreneurial period. And they started a business, and now they're just surviving. They're not entrepreneurial. 75% of them companies out there are business owners. They have not had a growth idea in 10 years. They're never going to expand. They're never going to take another risk. So I think there is a difference. There definitely, you know, I and you are, we're entrepreneurs. We're always looking for an opportunity. We're always looking to grow something.
Well, I think I might have been a businessman for the last 5, but, you know, only because I wanted to focus on this one to where it got to be a certain level. And, you know, most recently I've just started 2 new businesses. I don't talk about them much because they're just in the startup phase, but one of them did $1.6 million in the last 4 months. So it's like, you know, man, that was getting pretty good. No, I ain't talking about that.
Is it in your
You
lane?
got your little slick kid over here listening.
I know, he's listening. But is it in your lane?
Oh, yeah.
That's why.
It's leads.
Well, it's all in the sales thing.
Well, it's leads because, you know, people are lazy. And someone told me, I forgot who told me this, but every time I think, man, I remember someone telling me this. If you want to get rich, teach someone to do something or something. And then, but if you want to get wealthy, do it for them. So leads, like I can teach people how to go prospect and find business.
There'll be a fortune for you to give them the leads.
Well,
lazy.
Right. Well, I mean, I teach salespeople. Here's how you can double your sales. Go start doing this. Go do this. Go do this. Get on LinkedIn and say this. Do this. Do this. Do this. Nobody does the shit.
Because they're lazy.
Yeah, but they'll buy my courses and they'll, you know, pay for me to coach them, which I don't offer anymore. But at the end of the day, like I can teach people to do the shit, but they won't do it. So I just decided, why not just get them the leads? So if I called you right now and I said, hey, I want $100 per name, but these names are looking for your shit, what would you say?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I started doing that. And dude, the lead business is ridiculous.
Because people are lazy.
But it's ridiculous. Like $1.6 million is actually chump change compared to what some lead businesses are doing from what I'm now learning. To where one company that we're about to jump in bed with, they buy $40 million a year in leads.
Well, insurance
just
companies.
It is an insurance company. one business.
Yeah. Insurance companies will do it any day.
Not only that, there's over 4,000 independent insurance agents. They all buy leads.
Listen, I sold insurance for 1 year. It's the closest thing to being a crack dealer.
Well, at the end of the day, dude,
I made a ton. I just don't like driving at night, and I didn't really like the business, but I made money hand over fist.
So here's what I did. I started lead business mixed with training because a lot of these insurance agents, they'll get the leads, but they don't know how to close them.
Yeah.
So it's the leads, the training on how to close them, the best training on earth, and then the CRMs and the tools to keep it all, you know, organized and accelerating.
But
so it's called Sales Hammer.
But you stayed in your lane. See, that's the difference. That's where we get smarter. I'm 53. I had somebody offer me like a business opportunity like 3 weeks ago, and I said I'm not interested. He goes, why? I said, for one, the amount of money I'm going to make on this doesn't move the needle, and even if I lost it, it would piss me off, and I don't understand anything you just told me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know my lane that I'm willing to pretty much bet my life on. In that lane of business. And I think what happens is people, and specifically, when you start hitting 50, it's hard to recover from a major financial loss. So I'm big in staying in your lane. You know where you made money in the past, know what you understand, and try to stay there.
Now, with your kids sitting here, what do you think of school, college? How necessary is it?
Okay, I have a daughter who's a school teacher who I'm paying for her master's degree. So I think it's a good fit if you're an engineer, a doctor, a teacher. My son wanted to be an entrepreneur. I've speak at a lot of colleges. I have not met a business professor yet that I would let my son take a class from and pay to teach my son business. I'll probably never get another speaking gig again.
But no college?
No, we didn't. I gave him 1 year internship. He's in the middle of a startup right now. He already he'll make more money within 2 years than any teacher. I can tell you that right now.
And more than likely, probably any MBA.
And he's in his he's in his strength. I mean, my wife is like, "What's Colin doing?" He's always working. He works 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, because he's working on his own business. You can't. I don't think you can teach business. I think you can teach the fundamental understanding of maybe what a business is, and maybe you can teach management. You can't teach startup. You can't teach I want to do it. You can't teach hustle. You can't teach it factor. I never went to college for anything to do with business. I'm willing to. I've had debates with a lot of top business people, college professors, and I've never been around a college professor yet that I felt like they knew more than I did in practical business knowledge. Perfect example that I was going to go to UVA's grad school for MBA. I thought maybe I was kind of bored. Went to lunch with one of their professors. He said, "Sean, you would lose your mind. You already know more than, you know way more than you'll ever need."
Yeah. Yeah. My kids ask me, I say, I definitely want them to go to college, but not for that reason. Like, it's not for the education. It's for the relationships.
Well, I have 5 friends. Listen, I was this weekend at a funeral, never something you ever want to go to, but I was there with my 5 roommates from college. I mean, this is 35 years later, we're friends. We talk every week on the phone. This is why I say, real friends love you for who you are and they don't try to change you. I always say the definition of friendship is they already know what you suck at and they already baked it into the cake. So I was with my 5 buddies from college. I mean, we all within 24 hours arrived at an important event that we all had to be there. And so I got them out of college. So, I mean, college, for whatever I paid for college, I think I told Colin is you still have to create a social network.
That's the only reason I'd say you should go to college, but not for the education.
No, it's social network.
It's to meet somebody, meet people. Like you might end up meeting someone that you'd go into business with, meeting your future wife, or husband.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, for that, it's good. I mean, we live in a college town. He's around college kids all the time. So we kind of, again, I'm a college person. My wife's a college person. My daughter went to college. I have a college fund for him.
You want me to give your daughter an idea right now?
I'm dying to hear it.
Well,
it's her birthday day. Hey, Bailey, I already called you and FaceTimed you anyway.
Well, happy birthday, Bailey. Here's what I would do, and I'm about to do it anyway without Bailey. So if Bailey wants to partner with me.
She's a 3rd grade teacher. She's fantastic.
Well, if she wants to partner, I don't know what she makes, but I bet it ain't much. I would say I could show her how to make 20 times what she's making and still be a teacher. Right now, obviously, the COVID bullshit. Yeah. Number one, the curriculum for schools in most cases are antiquated and they're not valuable anyway. But I want to get 1st through 6th grade to start, and ultimately deliver what we do here, an interactive virtual curriculum to where the parent is the parent. It's basically homeschool VT. See, the reason why I don't homeschool my kids right now, well, I am about to
I'm
now.
going to tell you something really funny. All my friends homeschooled, and they all are like, "Sean, why didn't you homeschool?" I said, "Because my kids would be illiterate, and the only thing they would know is ESPN. It'd be the only TV
well,
channel."
That's why I don't. So you know what I'm doing right now is I'm looking for a teacher like Bailey to hire full-time for just my 2 kids. Yeah. I've got a couple of buddies that said, can my girls come over? Sure, as long as they're girls, no boys. Yeah. But yes, I'm going to hire a teacher like Bailey that works for me, and she just teaches my 2 kids. Now, fortunately, they're close, so a 3rd grade teacher could probably teach both of them.
Oh, yeah, elementary they could cover the whole thing.
But what we do here, my main business that we do, going on 9 figures, so it's pretty big business. I want to virtualize what she would have said in the classroom, what she would have taught in the classroom for the entire year, and then my technology will basically virtualize her to where she is on demand. Because like sometimes my kids, they sleep until 10. Well, when they go to school, they got to be up at 7. Yeah. Why?
It's the biggest way. Oh, don't even get me. That's
but that's what I mean. So Bailey,
his senior year, it's a babysitting facility.
Well, not only that, but they have to be at 7 because that's the stupidity. Yeah. But guess what? If you have Bailey on demand, which is basically 3rd grade on demand, dude, there is 1 million parents that'll give her. I guarantee you, and I'm gonna make up a number that I could guarantee. There's 1 million parents that would pay at least $100 per month for 3rd grade on demand. Well, 3rd grade on demand. So now, right now, especially during COVID, because this shit, like in Nevada, right now they're doing virtual school anyway, but it's on Zoom or some stupid shit. It doesn't work. They basically are making parents sign waivers that says you won't listen. What the hell are you talking about?
They want you to know that we're horrible.
Well, there's supposedly privacy. You know, you'll see little Johnny stuttering who's not your kid, or, you know, whatever. But whatever. I'm not going to sign something that says I'm not listening. I don't want my kid at your stupid ass school with your masks. Okay, those masks right there will harm you. I don't know if you know that or not, but they will.
Everything in.
So, yeah, I mean, dude, it's just, you know, go ask any doctor or scientist. Wear it long enough. Not will you wear it to go through the airport. You're not going to die. Yeah. But, dude, they want to have my kid 7 hours with a mask on. Not happening. Not happening. Yeah. Plus, kids are coming and going. They get sick. You know, if they're going to get COVID, there's going to be at school. Trust me. So I don't want my kids in school. So I'm going to hire a live teacher while I build what I'm describing. So if Bailey has an interest, I've got the technology. She's got the knowledge. All we do is virtualize it in these two studios over here.
And she's beautiful and exciting. She's a great teacher.
And we have, in her case, third grade on demand. And you market third grade on demand to everybody who's in the same situation as I'm talking about right now. You'll get 50,000 parents just in Nevada, guaranteed at $100 a month. 50,000 times $100 a month. That's $5 million a month.
I know. I just came up with something.
How much she making? Is she making $5 million a month?
No, she's not.
Bailey, happy birthday.
I'm not going to pay for grad school if you are.
She could do it, dude.
An amazing idea.
And that's an entrepreneurial thing. You don't need anything other than the curriculum. Now, if the schools and the jerkwads don't, acknowledge her curriculum, you probably would have a little bit of an issue, but that's why I want a real teacher, because a school can't say the same shit you would have taught at your school is taught through here. We're tracking, measuring, monitoring everything. I have real-time tracking and analytics. I have better testing and comprehension mechanisms. So yeah, as you guys fly back, man, think, because old Bailey could literally join the family biz.
My daughter, I don't think she could tell you within $100 what their checking account is. She's oblivious to
she
all
won't
money.
need
Her
to, dude.
husband's
She won't need
pro.
to. She could freaking hire 10 CPAs to tell her what's in her checking account.
No, her husband's a golf pro.
Okay?
So.
And I'll give her 50%.
But think about this. No, but think what you were saying. Think what you were saying, though. Something just hit me. You know, to be a lawyer, you only have to pass the bar. What if the five...
That's not true, though. You have to go to school.
Do you have to go to school? I
Yep.
thought you only had to... I was reading a John Grisham book.
Nope. And that's what pissed me off. I just mentioned it the other day.
About that. I'm like, why wouldn't the five best lawyers, David Bose, and the best? Could you imagine if they did online law, like created their own law school?
They can't.
I know, but they should be able to. Could you imagine being trained by they have their own classroom. They're teaching you how to cross-examine, blah, blah, blah. You know, you take the best attorneys in the world. The best of the best.
Well,
they would crush these
absolutely.
elite schools.
I mean, that's what this Lightspeed technology was founded for. Is my mission is to get the knowledge from the people who have it to the people who need it, because I think ultimately people fail because they don't have the right information. I'm not homeschooling my daughters because of what you said. Shit, they're going to end up cussing. I don't know how to get them to.
Mine would be illiterate.
Yeah, so guess what? I'm going to hire an actual teacher. I'm going to pay her more than the school's paying her. She only has 2 kids, right? We'll be like almost like friends. Mm-hmm. So like way better job than an actual teacher. They don't have to put up with all the bullshit. But more importantly, that teacher I'm going to virtualize. So 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, all the way to 6th grade. I'll start there. I'll make millions of dollars basically creating a homeschool virtual training system. And check this out. The teacher and the curriculum pop up. Well, there's passwords for the kid, of course, and then there's passwords for the parent, because we're going to require the parent to be a parent. Right now, you drop your kids off, like you said, to babysit, right?
Yeah.
Dude, teachers aren't babysitters. That's just what we're treating them like. How about parents be parents? Like, I'll give you the password. I'll teach you what to do. I'll teach your kid all the curriculum so you don't need to.
But I don't have to take your kid to the bathroom, the water fountain.
You can't parent your kid. You can't discipline your kid to make it sit there for 3 hours and watch my curriculum. Well, then you're a fucking idiot.
But I'm going to take...
And by the way, I got parent upsells. Like, you want parenting classes? We got that too.
But I'll take it even... I'm going to solve the entire educational problem during the COVID, and then under the next 2 minutes, because this hit me too. You got my brain going. We have all these college students. NC State just basically, they're not letting kids back. If I was a college student, I would take a year off. We should allow college students to be these teachers this year. They get a year off, and then they get a credit towards their tuition. So you have all these college students that are getting an absolutely pathetic education right now. They could be working with all these students that need teachers right now. So they would be they come to your house, work with 2 of your kids, and they would get a voucher. Let's say $5,000 per kid. And you'd sign off that, yeah, married, work with my kid. I'm telling you, you know how many kids are taking the year off? They would be perfect to be able to work with all these students that need help. There's a lot of parents that, they don't have the capacity. And I'm one of them, so I'm making fun of myself.
So am I. I don't know how to teach a kid.
I would love to have a college student, and just think about it. I
don't want a college student. I want a teacher.
Yeah, I'm just thinking for people who can't afford it.
That would be, can't afford $100 a month.
Well, there you go. That's right. You're making this virtual.
And dude, theoretically, if we wanted, we could make it $10 a month. Why? Because with this Lightspeed system, I can press a button and create 1 password or 1 billion passwords at the same time, same amount of money.
And you have like the virtual teacher, like physical, like an avatar. Like I have a small brain.
This company builds interactive training systems based in these studios, and it allows you to build interactive videos with just normal videos.
That's incredible.
So like, if she could pop up,
yeah,
hey, do you want to start with math or reading? Let the kid choose.
Yeah.
I don't want to start with math. Why do I got to start with math? I hate math. I want to start with reading. Well, let the kid start with reading. We're going to get to math, man. Everybody relax.
That's actually a really good idea. I mean, in all sincerity, like I've been
well, again,
50-50.
Let's go. You pay.
Yeah.
Bailey will do, and I'll just get my piece for bringing it up.
We all love.
See, who said ideas aren't worth money?
Yeah. No, it's actually really, really good. When you get 2 entrepreneurs together, they always come up with something.
Well,
something is always improved.
The good news is on the way out, because I got a 3 o'clock, but on the way out, I'll give you a quick example because you should go talk to her. Like I said, I'll show you plans already. Like I'm going to do it with or without Bailey, but if Bailey's already a 3rd grade teacher and beautiful and married to a freaking golf pro because I'm working on my golf game.
Oh, he's a great teacher.
We can get down to business.
He was a pro at Kiowa Island, South Carolina. Now they got him to move a little bit back home. He's at the best course in Virginia Beach right now. It starts
that the PGA, the Professional Golf Association, uses Lightspeed to train all its golf pros.
I did not know that.
Yeah, we've got like Pebble Beach and all these congressional and all these clubs using our software to train their staff and their, greenskeepers, et cetera. So our system was built to train people, and 3rd grade curriculum is no different. We just never have done it. And right now there's a major need for it. Matter of fact, I saw here in Nevada, their whole system's crashing because there's so many users.
Yeah.
Dude, I could put on 50 million users tomorrow and my system won't even blink because it's scalable in the cloud. It'll just spin up more expenses. Anyway, dude, that's
I like it.
That's what I'm talking about. Now, folks, you guys just sat there and heard from a real entrepreneur. He graduated from Liberty University. I didn't see your Instagram handle. What is it?
It's Sean.Castrina. I'm verified. I'm legit.
Yeah. Go follow him, dudes. And if you guys want, go to his website.
You get a free book. Yeah.
SeanCastrina.com, right?
Yeah, I always have a free book on there. If you go to SeanCastrina.com, we always have a book. I think we have my World's Greatest Business Plan book. It has a template where you can type out your business plan. It's actually for free. And so if you go to my site, you can get that for free.
Yeah, and it's not even a funnel either, because most people are like, oh, that's a funnel. No, he ain't selling you coaching. He has businesses. He's actually running businesses. He doesn't make a bunch of money selling you a bunch of courses and coaching.
Yeah.
So that's a legitimate book.
And I have the podcast that you were kind enough to be a guest on. If you ever want to learn business in 10-minute increments, I host the 10-minute entrepreneur podcast. Does really well, but it's for people who have very short attention spans like me.
10-minute entrepreneur. You guys go subscribe. Make sure you hashtag Bomb Squad so he knows I got more influence than a pickle. And
I came to Las Vegas on very short notice, so I knew.
Yeah, and also make sure you guys share this out to all your friends and family, because if it wasn't for you, it might be for them. And man, I really appreciate you coming out. Man, hopefully we can do something with the homeschool VT. We already got marketing built in.
Got a lot of good
This
things.
is my version of a digital magazine.
I like it.
And folks, until next time, keep it real.